Christianity is a lifestyle and not a religion. It's often difficult for us to articulate and describe the meaning of Christianity in a world where people believe a little bit of everything. You will see people who are avid churchgoers that still practice old wives' tales. You have those ladies that are called the closest male relative of their family on New Year's Day and tell them to come by their house because they're going to have good luck all year. The first person that comes to their house is a man. And you got some ladies and also who are avid churchgoers that will have their own sister or mother show up to their house on New Year's Day early in the morning. They won't answer the door till a man comes over. Many of you are laughing because you've done that before. Or you know somebody that has done that before. But following Jesus is not about being a part of a religion. Because once Jesus comes into your life, he changes your life for the better. This is why as a pastor I have extreme difficulty understanding how people who say that they are following Jesus are having so many problems. Because Jesus told his disciples that in this life you will have tribulations. But the tribulations that we experience as being disciples is because the enemy does not want to see us lead others to Christ. So if you are a person that is following Christ and you are experiencing a high level of persecution, I'm interested to know how many people are you actually trying to lead to Christ. Because some of the problems that we have as believers has nothing to do about being persecuted for the sake of the kingdom. It's because we don't do what God says. And the simple matter of fact is that the persecutions that we experience is a matter of just sowing and reaping. In another chapter, Paul says that be ye not deceived, God is not mocked, but that what a man soweth, that shall he also reap. So if you're following Jesus and there are true desires in your heart to see others saved and to see others come to know Jesus Christ, for others to live this faith and not just treat it as a religion, and you are experiencing persecution for the sake of the kingdom, then be ye not weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. That's why I get excited at this level of faith that I'm enjoying when persecution comes my way, because it is my desire for everyone to know the God of salvation. It is my desire for everyone to have a peace that surpasses all understanding. It is my desire for people not to be codependent on man, but totally dependent on God for all of their needs, because Paul says he will supply all of your needs according to his riches and glory. How many know that God will supply your needs? How many know that there is a blessing for trusting in God? How many know that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him? Christianity is a lifestyle and not a religion. A lifestyle is a mode of living that reflects the values of an individual or a group. Religion, as defined by Webster's dictionary, is defined as the belief in a controlling power outside of oneself. So to be religious, you don't even have to go to church. To be religious, you just got to believe in something outside of you. And many people believe in all kinds of things. People believe in witchcraft, and people believe in lucky dust. People believe in magic tricks, and people believe in the psychic hotline. People believe in wives' tales and old soothsayings, things that are outside of oneself, that are religious in their nature, but it has nothing to do with changing the way we live our lives. We live in a nation, a country that claims on its currency, "In God we trust." But for over 2 centuries, it was lawful in America to own another person in bondage because of the color of their skin, go to war without just cause, to make it unlawful to even pray in our schools. Christianity is not a religion, it's a lifestyle. It's not just about going to church in the place that we are right now on Sunday morning. It's about experiencing God in a new way so that we carry him out to the world in which we live, so they will know that Christ has died and I'm covered in the blood. They will know that by faith in him that life will be made different for the better. By trusting in Jesus, for grace to trust him more. There were times in my life that I was more religious, but I didn't always follow Jesus. I grew up in a family where my father told me that there should be nowhere that I should go on Saturday night, that I couldn't go to church on Sunday morning. So while I was in college, we would have these parties at this place on campus called the Stern Center, and they would go to 2 o'clock in the morning, and then we would go out to Waffle House and after the party and hang out and eat, and then we'd get back to the dorm at 4 o'clock, and I would say to everybody, I'm going to call all of y'all to go to church in the morning. Be ready. They said, okay, when do you call? Call them at 9:30, and everybody said, I'm going to have to stay in and sleep. A lot of times I've ended up going by myself. Christianity is universal, while religion can be limited to a location. Christianity can save us, while religion can destroy us. It was in the name of the religious creed of the Nicene Creed where the church began to break up in the 3rd and 4th century. It was under the name of religion that Jews were expelled from southern Spain during the Spanish Inquisition. It was in the name of religion where during the era of the Crusades, Christians went into the Holy Land and massacred thousands upon thousands of Jews and Muslims. You have to be careful around religious people because religious people get mad when you don't do what they say. You have to be careful with religious people because religious folks always have the tendency to want their way. You have to be careful with religious people because they can put their religion on the shelf when they want to give you a piece of their mind. They can put their religion down when they want to do what they want to do when they want to do it. I get tired of being around religious folk. I want to be around some saved folk who know the power of the blood, who know that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us, who know it's not about what you do on the outside, but it's about having the God you serve living on the inside. In order for Christianity to be meaningful, we must live by faith. God wants the church to enjoy the Christian faith by sharing the good news of Christ with others. You have to evaluate your conversations in this lifestyle we know of as Christianity. You have to revisit how and what you say to people because of the God that you serve. You have to really even think about it. How much do we really include Jesus in our daily bread? You got folk who even on their lunch break mumble and cover up their mouths and don't even want people to know they're praying for the food that they're about to receive. You got folk who are in the grocery store and in the various public places who are even ashamed to tell somebody about the God that you serve. And what I want you to be clear about today is that it's not about being religious. It's about living a life that's pleasing unto God. It's no longer about just going to church. It's about what you do in your life as a result of the worship experience. Look at somebody next to you and say, live by faith. Our character will be tested, often by others who do not share the same faith as we do. We cannot succeed in life by living up to the standards of often ungodly and unfaithful people. Unsaved folk don't scare me, but they actually invite me to pray for them. Ungodly people don't scare me. They actually motivate me to intercede on their behalf. You cannot be afraid of telling somebody about the God of your salvation. Paul said to a letter in Timothy, he says, God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and of a sound mind. We cannot succeed in life by living up to the standards of ungodly and unfaithful people. God is not concerned primarily about us living up to the standards of men as much as he is concerned about us walking by faith. Christianity is not a religion, it's a walk. Christianity is not a religion, it's a lifestyle. Paul wrote to the Galatians to ask critical questions about the experience and the importance of faith versus keeping the laws of Moses. We know that there are 3 sections of the law. The first 10 are the most common to us. Those are known as the Decalogue, the 10 Commandments, those that say, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not commit adultery. These are the moral laws, the first 10. But there is a second section of the law that is known as civil law. These were the laws that were applied for the government, for the king and all of his courtship to follow in order that the people may have order in society. This is why Malachi the prophet said, bring all the tithes into the storehouse, because the tithes were needed in order to make sure that the supplies and the government was sustained with order. But the third section of the law was the responsibility of the priest, and this was called ceremonial law. This was the section of the law that was to be kept by the Levites to make sure that the people were prepared for proper observations of worship. And so as people had been converted into Christianity, as Paul began to teach and preach unto the Gentile nations, and they had accepted Christ, there were people called Judaizers that were telling these new Gentile converts that they had to observe fully the commandments of God in order to be saved. And Paul was letting them know that this was not in the will of God. It was not important to keep all 613 commandments in order to be saved, because it was not necessary in the day of Abraham to have 613 commandments to be rightfully observed in order to be saved. As a matter of fact, the commandments of Moses were not even around in the days of Abraham. So Paul uses the Gentile and the Jewish heritage to come together to remind them that it's not by the law that we're saved, because he says Abraham believed God and he counted it unto him for righteousness. I'm so glad we have Abraham as our father, because there's some things that I'm supposed to do tomorrow that I might forget tomorrow, and God is not going to charge it to my heart. He's just going to charge it to my head. But he is really concerned about the condition of my heart, because it's with the heart that man believes unto righteousness, and with the mouth confession is made unto salvation. Paul wrote to the Galatians to ask questions about the importance of faith. Do you have the Spirit living within? If you began in the Spirit, are you trying to continue? Why are you trying to continue in the power of the flesh? Like Abraham, were you saved by faith? And are you now, like Abraham, living by faith? That's the real question of your commitment. Are you living by faith? Somebody here today is really expecting something from God. You have an answer that you have been looking for, and the answer that you get is not based upon what's in the law. It's based on what you believe. And what you believe is going to dictate how you walk. And how you walk is going to dictate what you receive. I'm so glad that I serve a God who's not going to give me what I want. He's going to give me what I believe. Because my actions dictate what I really believe. My actions will dictate if I'm being sincere in my faith. We need a living faith in 2012. We need a living faith is inspiring and encouraging. A living faith does not wait for others to set the example. A living faith is one that moves on the inside and motivates action on the outside. A living faith is true no matter who challenges it. A living faith has the power to heal the sick and the power to raise the dead. A living faith is a lifestyle and not a religion.